Blood sugar management is fundamental to metabolic health, and both Mediterranean and DASH patterns excel at glycemic control through food quality and composition rather than extreme carbohydrate restriction. Understanding glycemic load and how these diets naturally stabilize blood sugar provides powerful tools for diabetes prevention and management. Let's clarify terminology because confusion is common. Glycemic index measures how quickly a food raises blood sugar compared to pure glucose. Glycemic load accounts for both the glycemic index and the amount of carbohydrate in a typical serving. Glycemic load is more relevant for real-world eating because it reflects actual portions. Watermelon has a high glycemic index but low glycemic load because it's mostly water with relatively little carbohydrate per serving. Mediterranean and DASH diets naturally create low glycemic load patterns through several mechanisms. The emphasis on whole grains instead of refined grains dramatically reduces glycemic impact. Abundant fiber from vegetables, legumes, and whole grains slows digestion and glucose absorption. Healthy fats from olive oil, nuts, and fish eaten with carbohydrates moderate blood sugar spikes. Adequate protein at meals also buffers glycemic response. The food combination principle is practical and powerful. Carbohydrates eaten alone produce the highest blood sugar spikes. Combining carbohydrates with fat, protein, and fiber creates a lower, more gradual glucose curve. A piece of white bread alone spikes blood sugar rapidly. That same bread with olive oil, some protein like white beans, and a vegetable side produces a much smaller spike spread over a longer time. Specific carbohydrate choices within these patterns matter. Steel-cut oats versus instant oatmeal, whole intact grains versus bread made from whole grain flour, legumes versus potatoes. Each choice affects glycemic load. This doesn't mean avoiding all higher glycemic foods, just being strategic about portions and combinations. Meal sequencing is an emerging area of research. Some studies suggest eating vegetables before carbohydrates at a meal further reduces the glycemic response. The vegetable fiber in your stomach when carbohydrates arrive slows their digestion. This might mean starting meals with salad or eating vegetables first, then proteins and grains. Portion control for carbohydrate-containing foods doesn't require obsessive measuring but does require awareness. A portion of whole grains is about half to 3/4 of a cup cooked. Legumes provide carbohydrates but combined with protein and fiber, so they have better glycemic profiles than pure starches. Understanding reasonable portions prevents the blood sugar roller coaster even when eating healthy carbohydrates. Continuous glucose monitors, increasingly accessible to non-diabetics, provide fascinating insights into individual responses. People vary significantly in how they respond to identical foods. Some people spike dramatically from rice but handle oats fine. Others show the opposite pattern. Using a CGM for a few weeks to identify your specific responses allows personalization beyond general guidelines. The diabetes prevention evidence for Mediterranean and DASH patterns is substantial. Large studies show both diets reduce diabetes incidence in high-risk populations. The mechanisms involve improved insulin sensitivity, reduced inflammation, better beta cell function, and healthier body composition. These are comprehensive metabolic improvements, not just blood sugar management in isolation. For people with established type 2 diabetes, these patterns can significantly improve glycemic control, sometimes allowing medication reductions. This requires medical supervision. Changing diet while on diabetes medications can cause dangerous hypoglycemia if medications aren't adjusted. Work with your physician to monitor glucose and adjust medications appropriately. The role of resistant starch and vinegar deserves mention. Resistant starch, formed when you cook and then cool starchy foods, acts more like fiber than regular starch. It feeds gut bacteria and has minimal glycemic impact. Adding vinegar to meals, as in salad dressings or even drinking diluted vinegar before meals, appears to moderate blood sugar response through mechanisms involving gastric emptying and insulin sensitivity. Both patterns achieve glycemic control without very low carbohydrate restriction. This matters for sustainability. Ketogenic and very low-carb diets can improve blood sugar but are difficult for most people to maintain long-term. Mediterranean and DASH provide flexible, culturally diverse patterns that control blood sugar while including moderate carbohydrate amounts from quality sources.